Welcome to another deep dive into homeless to healed. Today I want to embark on the journey of solutions and problems that currently exist. There are many topics that I will uncover in the video about the global crisis, about the solutions to help homeless individuals stand on their own 2 feet again, the way that the system has let us down, and the solutions that each and every one of us can be a part of to help the individuals. Hopefully we can break through the stigmas that exist about homelessness and about the circumstances that are affecting everyday people. And it's not just about men, it's also about single mothers with kids who are experiencing hard times. There is a very deep situation that's going on around the world. There's a lot of people struggling, and it's a humanitarian crisis after all. And I have experienced quite a lot on my journey of being homeless. I am an independent artist. I used art to heal myself, and along my journey of, I suppose, the last 6 years, there's a lot that I like to share, and hopefully by the end of this video we can at least agree on a few things, come to terms with the solutions that are quite accessible to all of us. And this topic hits home to me because it interlinks with mental health, it interlinks with spirituality, it interlinks with many topics that I've had to confront myself and still stand on my own 2 feet, reluctant to rely on anyone else. I've had to learn how to be resourceful, and I know that I'm not alone. So bear with me when I take a pause, trying to collect my thoughts for this message that I feel like sharing is kind of overwhelming at times, because there's a lot that I could ask for, but at the same time there's nothing really to ask. So hopefully I inspire at the least and empower you to help others. So let's start off with the global crisis that is affecting homelessness around the world. No matter where you look, I live in Australia, and I can observe what's happening in the US. We can observe what is happening in the UK. We can observe what is happening in Europe. And these problems with the cost of living is going through the roof. Doesn't matter where you live in the world, there is some way that homelessness is affecting you. It may not be direct. It may be just witnessing more people begging, because that is all they have the energy to do. And it's quite frustrating to have a society where we're rich with abundance. There is solutions practically everywhere, and it's quite easy to access. Basic food, basic shelter, basic necessities. And the struggle is helping the homeless or helping individuals move beyond their limitations. Because most of the individuals who are on the streets, most of the individuals who are begging for money just to sustain themselves, from my experience, that's the best they can do. Because when we give them food, or when I receive food, it only lasts 24 hours. You get the top up, and it's not that I'm ungrateful. It's not that it's something to be laughed at. It's just the reality that, we're lacking community in the bigger world. And that's why I'm inspired to create a lot of support for the homeless individuals. That's why I'm sharing these videos. That's the reason why I'm creating the content that I do, to challenge the status quo. Because that's how I think we can come back to unity, come back to changing our perspective of things. Because in reality, most individuals like myself tend to struggle. Well, my biggest struggle that I'll speak of is sustaining cash flow. It's not that I can't find a job, there's a lot of multiple dynamics that are involved. It's the fact that a lot of these jobs that exist are not soul nourishing. When you are out on the street, your soul is practically ripped out of you. Like, there's a lot of mental health problems that stem from these, I suppose, worldly initiations. We can be thrown into the deep end, worrying about when are we going to get our next meal, when are we going to be able to be warm again, when are we going to feel safe. These are all very basic human things. And there's a lot of people out there that tend to care. There's a lot of people out there that have a compassionate heart, but may not necessarily be in the place to give. And that's, everyone's within their means, and everyone's got to look after themselves. There's no big grand solution that, we need to take all the money from the top and feed it down. It's not necessarily that, because that in itself is not sustainable. It's about helping individuals stand up on their own 2 feet. It's no different to, I suppose, some of the concepts of rehabilitation centers. And I think that they are great. I'm lucky I never had to go to one. I rehabilitated myself in some ways. There's a lot of challenges that I went through, and it touches on many different layers. So I had to overcome my addictions, and maybe they don't look bad on the surface, but internally they were quite confronting. And when I speak about these things, I imagine that these parallels exist for a number of individuals who are homeless. I speak of my experience as a guiding light as to what is actually going on in the bigger scheme of things that I may not even see from day to day, because I'm still focused on myself. I'm still focused on creating content, staying positive, staying happy with the little that I have, and I appreciate being homeless. There's nothing wrong with being homeless, but the solution that we need to at least come to needs to be more than, I suppose, the cliche homeless shelters, the cliche food banks. Because though they are great, it's not tackling the cause. It's not tackling the root of the problem of why we are homeless. And I'm not gonna bash on the government in this video, even though there is poorly organized individuals that are challenging our resources. If you know, great, but I'm not making a video about that at the moment. Let's come back to breathing and focus. So the solutions is addressing more than the homeless shelters. It's literally creating safer communities bigger than what the homeless shelter provides, because the homeless shelter alone can only do so much. Like, there are so many aspects that I struggle to put into words. And initially at the start of this video, I thought I could articulate the nuances of the problems that are so hard to address and so hard to confront. And I don't want anyone to be afraid or put off. And it's not just giving money out. We need to build more, almost like a whole new economy. Because if we can help the homeless individuals rise, I'm not saying to give all of our attention that way. It's to balance it. It's to have spaces, safe spaces for humanity to recover whatever problem has put them there. Because there are women who have experienced abusive situations and have kids to look after. And there are also men who experience abusive situations that they have to look after as well. And the problem is on both sides. There's not one side's better or one side deserves more than the other side. We always, to stay neutral, need to be able to look at both sides of the problem, because, men have kids and lose their kids to the system. Some women have kids and lose their kids to the system. And then we target each other instead of targeting the system, or addressing the root cause of what is actually happening at the root of it all. And mostly it's also comes to a moment of being time poor. In my upbringing, as much as my parents are loving, and I'm just going to touch on my observation, is for what I needed growing up was a bit more time orientated. I'm a sensitive individual. I needed more specific time to cater to, I suppose, my needs. And I think as a reflection, as a general whole, right, there are a lot of individuals that are also very time poor. So we struggle to care for our kids because we have to go and make money. We have to go and struggle somewhere else to provide. And then once we go do the hard work, we want the time to relax. And then everything becomes out of balance. And then we become defensive because we become entitled. And then when we become entitled, things snowball. And then when things snowball, things begin to create conflict. And there's a massive dysregulation. And with that dysregulation, it leads to people wanting to escape. When we want to escape, some people turn to drugs. Some people turn to doing whatever it is that they choose to do that creates the division. And once that division starts, society starts to separate. And it's not easy to put all these variables into a linear form of words. It's just almost impossible. And it's to some degree quite absurd. But I can speak of, I suppose, because my main intention would be helping as many individuals reclaim their peace, help individuals reclaim their sanity, help individuals go through the transitions to get them back on their feet, just as I am an individual of experience on living on the streets, and I've lived in my van. None of that has bothered me. But my ambition is limited by the lack of money. And I aspire to create I suppose, a charitable thing, a non-for-profit, a solution where people can at least support the solution. Because to me, there is a very important, clear understanding that I have come to that is hard to express and hard to express in the nuances of it all, because there are a lot of these services, right, that exist. A lot of this, like a lot of charitable, op-shoppy, there's a lot of services that sort of put a band-aid on the problem. But we need more community to help restore the deeper solutions of what is going on for the individual. We need to help the individual as well. So, if you are still watching, I appreciate you. Thank you. It's time to breathe. And look at the trees. So, there's a lot of the problems that I perceive are these band-aid fixes. You go to a shelter, you go collect some money, which is not necessarily enough to sustain a human life, because there's just things that aren't enough. Like, it's the paradox of lack, and we got to reframe it to abundance. And something that I think is quite obvious to me as an artist, as someone who has had to help myself, is art therapy. It's not an uncommon suggestion to put out there. Like, we can all help art therapy centers build and thrive, and that becomes a commodity of itself, because you're creating something from practically nothing. Art supplies are no more than $20. A $20 donation could help one homeless individual create something. There are still, systems that are helping with food and helping with shelter, and that can be a part of the transition. But if we don't address the underlying problems, and if we don't allow individuals to be seen again for their spirit, because when you're homeless, as I've said before, your spirit is practically ripped out of your body. You practically feel lost. You practically feel like, how does humanity do this to someone? How does someone constantly pat you on the head and say, keep going? Meanwhile, there's no it doesn't necessarily help you buy food. It doesn't necessarily help you support a family or support a partner. And when you find a partner, they don't necessarily stay because you're financially stressing them out, and then it just adds more stress to two people instead of one person. Then one person has to go experience it all by themselves, the financial stresses of life, and it's even worse when it's just one person on their own and not two people working together. I know from experience, and it sucks, but it taught me things, and my struggles are my biggest blessings. And it's there's a lot, and I'm only trying to articulate the intention that we can achieve a lot of beautiful things with humanity, to overcome the challenges from people who are living on the street. There are many great YouTubers, there are many great individuals out there helping people who are struggling. That's fantastic. But we can address the problem better. And I'm not saying that they're doing a bad thing. I'm not saying that they could do more. I'm not calling them out on anything that's wrong. I'm applauding any individual that gives help without seeking the validation. There's nothing worse than individuals trying to give money to the homeless and get clout through videos. You know, if that crosses the line. And I know that some of my words will be contradictive. I'm aware of that. But I truly want to help as many people, you know, integrate their art and create event spaces to help homeless people to reclaim their voice. And it's not just to help homeless, it's to help others, it's to help you, it's to help people reconnect, because that's our virtue. I struggle to find the right words constantly. It's just because there is so much that can be said, and that's so much that can be left unsaid. And it really takes an audience to help this lift off. It helps, I suppose, you as a viewer to ask the questions now, because I could talk and rant and ramble for a whole hour. I could talk for 3-4 hours straight, but you're not going to sit through all of that. And I'm not going to expect anyone to sit through all of my videos or anything like that. This is just the only way that I can necessarily communicate at this time. You know, I'm limited to some degree. I live in a weird paradox of things, and it's something that I learnt growing up, is that I always had good relationship with strangers on the streets, and that's because of some paradoxes of my relationships and dynamics with, I suppose, family, and my relationships and dynamics that I experienced with friends that were always temporary. Nothing or anything necessarily ever stuck. Everyone meant well and would say things just to shut me up, but things never used to really stick. So I am feeling the pressure of witnessing homelessness rise. I'm feeling the pressure of witnessing mental health problems rise. I'm witnessing my own frustration that I don't have the financial capacity to do more than what I am capable of achieving. So I'm hoping that this video can at least be shared with people of like-minded nature to help me, I suppose, help others. It's to me, that's the only logical thing. I can only share my content so far. I've only got one arm. I can't reach everyone that I know I will reach in a few months' time. It is a long process, and it helps to find the right people to speed up that moment, to help build that momentum for that exposure, I suppose, to address the humanitarian crisis. And I'm speaking, as I've said, I'm speaking from first-hand experience. I'm not speaking from someone looking into it. I was doing well by the age of 25, and since 24 and a half, 25 till I'm 31 now, I've struggled. And there's a lot that I could express about that. There's a lot of testimonies I could say. There's a lot. And I express it through poetry, and I ideally want to help homeless people. I might be circling around things, might be going on a tangent, but it'll mean a lot to me as an individual, looking after as many people as I can. And I've helped many individuals whilst I've been homeless, and whilst I've had practically $0 in my bank account, giving my last 50 to people, giving my last $20 to people. It's just because of who I am, just because I know that that's how much it makes a difference. That's the only way I could provide the solution. It's, and there's a lot of challenges that I'm going through, and support at the moment would help. And I don't know what is coming for the next 6 months. I don't think anyone really does, but if we can start networking together, build this community space. Emerging Hermit is my brand. It's an artist brand. There's a lot that I want to build. This is just early stages of my projects that I look forward to expressing over time, even though I might be impatient to express these challenges. If you're listening and you're still paying attention, I appreciate you. I thank you. And if you're already subscribed, awesome. Thank you for your support. It means a lot. I don't know what else to say. I think my mind is all spoken out. So thank you. Enjoy a cup of tea. Enjoy whatever it is you're doing. Thank you.